I'm going to be learning about equations with one variables today. Now the important thing about this is that for equations in algebra, it's important for finding solutions to the equations is a major part because it's a learning of algebra. Now most things about it is for children is to think of it in terms of a balance scale. It usually helps them out because it's not the type that you just step on with a digital scale and it just shows the answer, or the type that when they go to the grocery store that they just sit it up there with their parents and it just weighs. It's the type with the lawyers where Lady Liberty, is on either side. So here's a picture of one. And since that's right now real quick on our mind, let's just work with an example. Now when I think of using the scale, I think of when I was a kid and my parents made me share things with my sister and I had to share a room. We had to draw right down the center, and that's the way I'm going to sit there and show it with this scale. And that's how we're going to do it. Right down the center. Now it usually helps because remembering when you do to one side, you have to do the other. So anybody that has siblings, like I've got a lot, so if I give one side, I got to do it to the other side. So right here, we're going to add 14. We're going to add 14 to this side, which is going to give this one 15. It's going to make this one have 0 here. We're going to bring this one down. It's going to be 3x. And it usually helps if you're going to put the equal sign here. You're going to have 15 here. Now usually with this, it usually helps if you know your multiplication facts. Now, we've got to break up these two. Because this is multiplication, we're just going to wind up dividing. We're going to divide 3 on this side, and we're going to divide on this side. Because Mom says we have to. And what Mom says goes. And that's usually going to be 5. And that's just to get us started. And that right there will help them just get started. And that right there is just an example to get us started. Now it usually helps the starter kids when they're solving and doing equations. But then it comes learning all the terminology. And this is just the start of it. You have the addition and multiplication property. And the first part here, it says, A says, for all real numbers, A, B, and C, if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. And that right there just says that if I have 2 plus 2, it will equal the same over here. Plus 4, which will be 4, equals 4. Sorry, I would write that bigger, but I didn't leave enough space. And the multiplication property says for all real numbers, A, B, and C, if A equals B, then AC equals BC. And then we have the substitution property. If A plus B equals C plus D, then if D equals 5, then A plus B equals C plus 5. And all that did is just wherever there was a D, they just substituted the 5 into it. And that's going to come in handy whenever we have a problem. And the second part of that says, if A plus B equals C plus D, then for all the B's, B will equal E, and all the D's will equal F. Then that means A plus E equals C plus E. But also, we have another one. Got it kind of stuck right here. we have an addition and subtraction property. And that says if A equals B and C equals D, then any A plus B or A plus C will equal B plus D. And A minus C will equal B minus D. And that right there will just lead into, which implies that if we add the same real numbers to both sides of the equation and multiply both sides of the equation with the same real numbers without affecting the equality, and that right here will give us A plus C equals B plus C. And it'll equal A and C equals B and C. Cancellation property, which is this right here, can come into effect. And this right here just tells us that for any real numbers, which is A and B and C, if A plus C equals B plus C, which will equal A equaling B, and for any real numbers A, B, and C with C not equaling 0, if AC equaling BC, then A will equal B. Which, if given the equation of x minus 3 or x minus 5 equaling C, and that means according to our cancellation property, it can give us two answers, which can either give us either x equaling 3 or x equaling 5. So, to start us off with some more examples, I've worked out one already, right here, which equals x equaling 8. But right here, we're going to work this one out together. We have this one to start off with an answer already. So, to start this one off, we already noticed that we have right here in our parentheses, they're the same. So instead of going ahead and factoring these in together, just to factor them right back out, what I'm going to go ahead and do is put these two together. Is 5 plus 7, which is 2x plus 1, equaling 84, and 5 plus 9, making sure I'm doing my math correctly so I don't get it wrong, which is going to be 12. Just go ahead and bring this down. 84. Okay. Now remember, since this right here is already connected with this, we're going to end up dividing this right here by 12 on both sides. That'll be 7. So since we no longer need this parentheses, we can just go ahead and bring this down. We're going to minus the 1 here. Minus 1 here. Will give us 6. Always remember to bring down the equal sign, because I know sometimes I forget, and that's always the smallest thing that sometimes gets people in trouble, as well as the signs. So we'll have 6 here. So we have 2x equals 6. Now we're going to sit here and divide by 2 on both sides. And we have x equals 2. have this third one right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to also do this one. But I also have right here where it says we're going to try to check it. Because also for some of these, you can check them and put them back in to make sure that while you're doing them, they're also on here correctly. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to sit here and subtract 12 from both sides. Now remember, what Mom and Dad say, go. What I do to one side, I have got to do to the other side. Because sister might get mad if I have too many. So, 12 from 15 will leave me 3. But we can't leave a negative x on this side. So, it'd be just like if I have a negative 1. So, I'm going to sit there and do on this other side with here. So, I have x equals negative 3. So I'm just going to go back here and put it right up here in this problem. So we're going to check it. We're going to hit 12 minus, I'm going to put a parentheses, negative 3 equals 15. Now doing this math, will it wind up coming out correctly? Well, let's just see. 12 plus 3 equals 15. Let's see. 12 plus 3 is 15 equals 15. And it does. It checks out. So see, you can always put this answer back up in here to make sure that it does check out. By following these steps all the way up here to the beginning, it can be done. Also in the book, you can also sit there and follow by reading word problems and pulling out certain key facts and pulling them out and creating equations with word problems as well and solving them as well. Like on page 421, there's key pieces. It says for a fine for each of the novels equals the fine per day times the number of overdue books. Well, one of the information, it says that it'll charge $10 for each day, and there were 4 novels. And since we don't know how much it was for the overdue book, the days for overdue book, so as we see here, it winds up being 4, 10, and D. So carry that down. You have 40D. There was an astronomy book. Again, it's a 10. But for the overdue days for it, it is D plus 7. You wind up following the rest of it down, and it winds up setting itself up. Most of the time for word problems, people get too far focused in with just all the wordiness of it instead of just actually reading it and factoring out what they need and what they don't need. And it just winds up engulfing them. And that's how you sit there and do equations.